Hi, this is Sheila with Conscious Conversation Central, and I'm joined by my posse, my good friends, Lisa Flamino Rush and BZ Rieger. And it is Tuesday, February 20th, 2018. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
And we're going to talk about clearing, cleansing, rejuvenating, giving yourself space to clear your field of consciousness. Another wonderful nudge that BZ had of something to play with. And I love that you're doing this with us, BZ. So talk to us about this, because I have not done it recently, but as you know, I have experienced some of that shearing from going and playing in frequencies that I really would prefer not to be playing. As that shearing is a painful experience. And until I was playing in some other frequencies today, but I was able to maintain my frequency. That's a first for me, to be quite honest. But it was exciting and different. So talk to us about ways of clearing and cleansing and rejuvenating.
Well, you actually gave a great setup, because as you're aligning and turning more of you on. So in other words, it's not something, you're not flagging down a taxi and going, hey, I think you got a package for me in there, and I'm going to take it and put it on, right? It's all coming from within you. But, maybe like if you have a house and you just discovered that there's rooms in your house and there's switches and they do things, and, there's a bigger movie room and a whole multimedia room and, all these kinds of things. And so you're learning, remembering again how to turn them on and do them, within you in this physical body.
Okay.
Wow. No, I'm amazed, because I've actually, wow, you just triggered something. I've had a dream like that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Hasn't
Cool.
been terribly lately, but I've had a dream, two different ones. One was like going through a maze of rooms that I didn't even know were there. I was looking for a child, actually, with another being that I know. Well, I know of this other being. I've never met them in person, but it had a very Alice in Wonderland vibe going on to it.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. So, okay, I'm sorry. It's just like I was sitting here making a connection.
No, that was really good, because I've had that. I have what I call theme dreams.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a reoccurring dream of mine, that I find myself in the house that's unfamiliar to me, but in the dream it's mine. And it seems like I'm going through and discovering things about it that supposedly I should know, as it's my home. So that was a beautiful way to describe it, BZ. I love that.
Yeah, because it also recalled, and yours just recalled me another dream for me where I was actually in a house that was being driven. And I guess if you look at,
I resemble that home.
but a metaphor, yes.
Yes.
And you're, in your case, an RV.
Yeah.
This was an actual physical house that was being driven with a.
That's amazing.
But I guess if you think of your physical vessel, at your house, because let's face it, it is, right? And then I guess that's why
private around.
You were describing that, BZ, because within this physical vessel as my house or home, finding those switches and gizmos that you either didn't know were there, or, well, but you don't know. And I I'm now kind of really getting that. Wow. Okay. I didn't mean to interrupt you, BZ, but that
You
was.
did. We're having illustrations all over the place here. It's great. That's the way it works. So this is an example, just kind of as a side programming note. What you're seeing right here is an example how multidimensional quantum thinking goes. So it's we were talking off camera about that toroidal field and you're creating things. So Lisa, this kind of thing may help you with what you're working on, right? This is how it actually works.
Yes. It's beautiful.
It's not where you have the clapper come down, okay, roll, and in chatting, okay, all right, it's 30 minutes, cut, okay, wrap, that's good, right? It doesn't work that way. It's you can do it in a length of time, perceived time, but the different components flow in to make it.
Yep.
So
that's beautiful.
Those illustrations this time they were reaching back into dreams and pulling them forward, and my guess is you will have those dreams now, and you'll find things and describe the different rooms that you walk into, and you are the rooms.
Yes.
And yes, you are the rooms, you are the house, you are the driver, you are
all of it.
Well, because if you're it's within you and you're multi-dimensional and you're quantum, so you've got an infinity-sized mansion. Right? To carry on that metaphor a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And that's only with your thinking in a compartmentalized, linearized way of thinking, because you're just thinking of you, except you're all. So now when you put in all the other beings' mansions in there and all the Akash records, and
wow,
you better have a big house. Put it all in, right?
A mansion.
Right. And you haven't just been in this particular embodiment existence, right? You've been multiples in what you were from a linear way, might hold it as past, present, and future. So, you got that. So you kind of get a tiny little idea of.
Yes. The largeness.
Yeah, how big the all is, you mean?
Yeah. Well, and your house that represents it. So one of the things that I was talking about, I was saying you gave a good setup piece for this, is that as you're waking up, things are coming online again because they've already been there. You just, all the plumbing, wiring, everything, all those things, components are already there. Now you're bringing them on to the fullness of themselves. The way they were before you came this time, but much beyond that, because remember, there's the soul coming in and you raising your energy frequency, and then the coherence of those two creates the third and the new, the Trinity, and the whole new, the holing of everything, the holiness of everything, and you're creating that new being. In essence, it's Source walking around in the Lisa t-shirt, in a physical embodiment.
Wow.
So that hasn't the totality of that, which is what's happening, hasn't been done ever.
Wow. So we're making it happen from scratch over here.
And that's pretty much why it's standing room only at the moment, isn't it?
Yep.
Ships deep and all that.
Yep.
Watching what's taking place.
Right. And part of because some of those are you.
Right. I mean that's difficult, I'm sure, for some to wrap their minds around.
Yeah, a lot of headaches popping right this moment.
Yeah.
Myself included. Not gonna sugarcoat that at all. I don't even have the meditation piece down. The fact that I'm watching myself do this is, on some level. But I mean, I'm sure it is. After that last experience I had with that multi-dimensional situation going on, I'm sure that that's, that is the way that goes. So it's not that I doubt it, because I don't. I haven't been able to wrap my mind around it quite yet.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel that it is so.
So just wrap the heart around and let the mind just watch for a minute.
There we go. Okay, so I think the heart already has.
Right.
Otherwise,
Yes.
I don't think I'd still be sitting here.
Right. So let me just finish that part. So in the setup piece that you gave, as you're, waking up, expanding, clearing, all those different things, right? You're moving through a process. More of you is coming into you. A lot of the stuff that is linear and egocentric, mind heavy, polarity, density is all leaving. And so we've talked about a lot of those things. So as those go, you kind of move through different sure-footedness comes to mind. So it's kind of a blend of a linear way to hold it, and you're doing it in a quantum way. So that when you encounter your own doubts, or you're having a conversation with someone else, or you may go into a situation where there is a very distinct differential in the predominant frequency vibrations that you're holding and that other or many others are holding, you can get better at staying clean and clear and in the predominant frequency vibration that you choose to hold, but still have some interaction. So oftentimes what happens is instinctively people know to just kind of gravitate where the energies are higher, and maybe, if we're going to look at it again, kind of a linear placeholders, you're higher than where they are at the moment. It's easier to go that way, although they may fall asleep a lot and so on and so forth, because they have to, they're immersed and swimming in that. And so that's going to uptick them, okay? Rather than doing it the other way, where if you don't have the strong muscles built, if you don't have that surety of a knowing of who you are and good strong muscles and holding that vibration, if you go into a place where the predominant frequency energies are lower, denser, more with disparate with density and all of that, and duality and polarity, then it's very hard to keep that, and the drag is to pull you down into it.
Right.
So the setup piece that I'm referring to is to play more with that, get more, more muscles built, get more rhythm in there, really get used to playing and have some feedback, have some proof show to you, some validation, all those kinds of things that are linear holding back to you. Go, oh, cool, I got this. And so now I can choosing is easier, because I don't want to do that. I've seen this, right? Okay. So all of that rolls around to helping you be more sure, more certain, more easily flowing with all that kind of stuff. So what we're talking about right now is, because many who, certainly you guys, but many who are watching this and playing all over the whole planet, but also with these conversations, are shifting and changing. So they're in more of that encompassing, holding, integrating patterns that are more expanded frequencies. And so playing with the rejuvenation part and playing with the ways to intentionally and in a devoted and committed and absolute fierce way of love and determination is going to be really helpful, because what's going to unfold for you all now
is unfolding.
it's not waiting here, is where you're coming into parts of your mission, which are to have to go into those areas, those, we'll say, playing swimming pools, so to say, where the predominant frequency vibration is not where you are. So if we're going to just linear, right, you know, you're going to have to come over to this mentality set, vibrational set, reality set, all those kinds of things, and you have to play, not be of it. You know, you're not swimming in it. You're just over there doing something, and then you can go back, and then you come, you know. And so having the concept of this and the tools for this is going to be very helpful. So does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. As you know, it's real easy to hang out right here and my little living room with my little joy on the wall, and Lisa's my company. So that's a real good dominant frequency vibration.
Right.
But the minute I step outside this door, it's a different story.
Well, and you already have given voice to somewhere. You step out and you go to YouTube and you go to the comment section.
Yes. Well, that's true. So I don't actually have to actually step out the door.
No, or the phone rings or the email comes in.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
And so all of that, you can't hide from it. You can't
Nope.
push it away. First of all, because that doesn't strengthen and have you be fully intact with the innateness of who you are. So just aside from that. Plus, it's not taking into account things that you agreed to do, you know, before you came. When you were, as I say, sitting on the beach around the campfire and you're having the conversations and the meetings and all that kind of stuff. And
right. Well, so
it's vital at this moment to do this.
right. And so does one, okay, so I have been trying, well, no, excuse me, I have been practicing, of course, resting, I should say, in what I know and feel to be so for me, which for me is, and I've also experienced recently, which is new for me, I don't like using the word foregoing the need, but it almost feels like it's not a need. Okay, foregoing my habit of offering all that I know to one that is in a different frequency vibration, as I felt at that point that it would serve nothing. And the shearing, I don't know if I'm saying this right, and the shearing would have been too great for myself and perhaps the other being as well.
Right.
Which is something that I've not done in the past. I've always just charged right on in ahead, like, you know, bull in a china shop. And I did not do that in this particular instance.
So two things you're describing.
Okay.
One is you're letting go of the savior meme, and you're a predominant way that you play part in it. because you're going to dive right in. You're going to help them. You're going to give them everything you got.
Even if I got to beat them around the head to get it in, that used
to savior. Okay?
Used to be my MO.
And
let me tell you something.
Right. But I'm not that, no, I mean, there's a lot of open-heartedness in that, but it's, because their willingness, even with the shearing, to go through that, and, because, there's genuine open-heartedness to either end of the savior meme, right? It's just that it's not the truth of who you are, and you realize that no one needs to be saved.
Well, and that's the other thing that I have now come to a realization for myself, is that it's very, and I know some may not agree with this or perhaps comprehend what I'm about to say, but it's also very disrespectful to the other source being.
Absolutely. I'm glad you said it, because I was just about to. Yeah.
Because it's not as though I know something they don't. It's just, it might just be right here for me right now, and it's somewhere else for them. And that's it, but that's okay too, because it's not my job, for one thing.
Right. And it's something that they had planned out in their path of triggers and stuff to wake up to do.
But this is something that I'm just now comprehending for myself.
Mm-hmm.
So
that illustration of the savior, and then also the shearing, to realize you didn't quite step all the way to giving voice to it, but because I think it sounded, before you let it out, it sounded a little weird. But what I was hearing you just about to say is that to put the energy into, expand the energy, wouldn't be worthwhile to expand the energy to put to endure or experience that shearing force, both for me and the other being.
Yes. It didn't feel like it would serve the purpose that I particularly may have intended.
Right.
And therefore the expansion, not expansion, but the expansion of all of that energy only to cause pain for myself and the other being didn't feel worth it. And as I said, for the first time ever in my life, the realization that it's not necessary and also disrespectful.
Right. Right. So, in this, I think just
I would like, however, to say that in all honesty and transparency, it wasn't easy. It was not easy. I am not there yet to where I can say, oh, I got the little halo going on. No, not by a long shot. Sorry.
But see, that's part of the quantum jumps as well, too. Because it's an overriding of that energetic groove that you've been in.
Okay. Well, what was actually said by one who witnessed this was, I think I witnessed you about bite your tongue in half today when this happened. So, as I said, I'm not quite there yet. But I stopped myself. And Lisa's the only one that noticed. So that was good.
So you want to share your part of seeing that, Sheila? Lisa?
Yeah, just what I said. I could see what she wanted to do, and I watched her catch herself. Even looked at me to say, see? What's happening? It was really beautiful. It was because sometimes that stuff is like, this is getting back to the habitual thing, the groove BZ was speaking of. When you can catch yourself Now, I've been at this a little bit longer, and I have observed that I will act sort of unconsciously, completely, like in a habitual swirling thing that I just do without notice. And then when I make it a priority to notice, then I'll notice myself doing it, but I won't be able to do anything about it. I'll just notice the swirling and the thing that I do.
That's hysterical. I'm sorry.
And then I'll notice, if I continue to notice, then I'll notice that sometimes I can catch myself in the middle of it and go, no, I don't want to do that anymore, and stop. And it will feel awkward and even painful, but I'll be able to stop it. And then the next phase is I'll be able to notice the urge to do a thing, but I won't do it. And then I'll feel really, really excited about myself that, wow, I didn't actually even engage in that. And then pretty soon I'll just notice, I don't even remember to think like that anymore. Like it just doesn't even, it's gone now. So it was fun and exciting to watch you notice and catch yourself and not even go there. Because that's huge progress from
it's huge
when I got here. Yeah.
The
two of us have made a lot of progress together.
Well, those are your what you talked about is, think of what comes to mind is the lanes in a big Olympic swimming pool when all the practice and they're practicing and the different lanes that you're swimming in, maybe the noticing, and then you've got to, I want to do laps in that lane over there. That's, that's the, I can show them, tell them, save them, lane, or the, right. And so you just realize that, no, there is one lane, and it may take you may have to, kind of jump over the ropes a couple times to get to the right lane. But the lane for you is the lane where you're fully buoyant, you're fully supported, you're fully able to cut through the water both on the surface and underneath, so immersed in the flow, and then can rise up and break the surface tension of the water, right, and those things. And there's no change in the amount of energy required to do either of those, to traverse underneath or above or in the depending on what stroke you're doing, how many times you're cutting through the water and the rhythm of the stroke. They actually, one leans on the other, whether it's the best breaststroke or the butterfly or something, or one leans on the other, in the sense that the momentum is bringing you forward. And to do anything but that is where the shearing force comes from. So all of this speaks to going into the place, or understanding that you want to, I want to simplify it for a minute. So you may want to play with clearing your consciousness of different pockets and eddies of things, and just getting to a place where it's, just again, use that swimming pool metaphor, right? Normally in the Olympic swimming pool, where they're practicing the meets, or before they go out to the games, before they have the actual, what you see televised with the runs and everything, they have their own practice pools, which are very noisy, lots of chaotic going on, and each of the different countries will have the slots of where they can swim and all that kind of stuff. And so this is, if you imagine that, you could look at it two different ways. One where you're going late at night, you have special dispensation to go late at night, nobody else is around, there is some lights on, but it's dimmer light, and you can just be there, and the water has some movement to it, because there are lots of other people in the excitement, so the vibrations are causing the water to move a little, but it's your water and you can do it. The other way you can envision it is that everyone is still there, it's broad daylight, the semifinals are coming up, and so on and so forth, and there's lots of, but you can freeze frame it all. Mm-hmm. And so everything just, you can kind of see the different teams, the different players, coaches, everything, and even the movement of the water, but it's almost freeze framed down, or super, super slow-mo with a Chiron camera or something, so that you can get a sense of there's movement there and there's all that energy and vitality, but you have just removed yourself from it. And now in front of you is your lane, and you're clearing. So think of it almost, instead of just a linear, straight, the depth of the pool, that you're going to run your lane in. It's a channel of energy and a channel of consciousness, and not only just one channel of consciousness, but your different layers of consciousness. And so you're clearing all of that away. And you may need to start at first to practice and play with it where, you got a chance to go in there late at night and there are not many people around because there's too many distractions. But playing with this metaphor that I'm talking about now, and swimming just came to mind, I'm not sure why, but
it's perfect, that's why.
Where all this else is going on, and you've just, it really is a feeling of what I'm doing, that energy, you haven't stopped it, you haven't, disallowing, it's none of those kinds of things. It's just an energetic, soft freeze frame on it. And as you take your deep breaths, and as you're doing the different things we can talk about in a moment, for that, what you're doing is clearing all levels of your consciousness and letting go, tuning into, so you are the water, and you are the building, and you are the planet, and you are the planets and the galaxies and so on and so forth in that moment. And you are all source and everything, in all the multiverses. And there's no discordance, there's no waves, there's no friction, there's no shearing, there's none of that. It's just this, well, the way I call it when I do it is just a bubble of love that I've created. So I am the bubble of love, I'm in the bubble of love, and I've also created this sphere bubble of love. But these are kind of different dimensions to them, different frequency vibrations to them. And when I do that, it's a way for me in the moment, wherever that moment happens to be, to stay in the center of it and come back to it. So now if I just go, okay, and I'm about to do my dive in, and I shake my hands and I square up my toes the way I want them on the coping of the pool, ready to go. And I let it come back, and everything comes, and it all rushes back in, and you've got, there's whistles blowing and the laps flowing and the water's lapping and all these things going on, but none of that is affecting me because I'm still
in the zone, in the bubble.
Right. And I can be perfectly lucid. I can have a conversation. I can go, as you were talking about, Sheila, into those different areas where I will have to swim and play with something that's of a different predominant vibrational frequency than I am. But because I'm here, I can do it because I'm not of it. I'm not immersed in it. But I can come into connection with it. Because what I'm doing is wanting to come into connection with a particular being, whether it's a human being or animal or anything else, or a particular vibration frequency of an event or a system it could be anything. And so, anyway, so I got a little ahead of us, but what I thought would be fun to play with in this particular conversation is how do you do that, and ways that you can do that, and then how do you use that? Because right now, as we talked about earlier, people are beings are being called up to step into their missions now, and some people are like, wait a minute, I just remembered I'm a creative being and I didn't know it. What mission? What are you talking about? And right, but it's all on now. It's you can't look around. You're not going to sit by the pool and read the 52 million page manual because you're just going to dive in the pool. So that's where we are.
I love the pool analogy. That was really beautiful.
Oh, yeah, it was.
For many reasons for me personally, but I think I explained this to you, Sheila, when I first got here. this is exactly what I came into town to work on. And so being in DC, I got really skilled at what you speak of, holding a certain frequency in a particular area where I'm the only one. And I'm totally aware that I'm the only one able to, I used to say, hold a loving thought. And then I could go home and be myself, where it was like my little safety den, my little foxhole is what I called it. And then I lost my foxhole, and I came here, which was a very, very soft, juicy, delicious place to land. But it wasn't my foxhole, and it wasn't my predominant energy field. I had no control over it anymore. So I'm going to say I was thrown into the deep end of the ocean. And I had to recreate it for myself. And I didn't have control of really anything but me. And so I think I said to you, I'm practicing being able to meditate without my meditation room, that I had created habits for myself. And just these habitual patterns would put me into a frequency by just going to that place and doing certain, I'll just say, rituals that were just of my own making, habits that just my performing that or walking into a certain room or just doing a certain thing at a certain time created a space for me. And, that was gone. In one fell swoop, I had nothing. And so I was trying to find my space in a crowded room all the time is how it felt to me. And it was just the most delicious thing, because now I can do that anywhere, no matter what. I could do it in the middle of the Olympic pool now because I had to, because I didn't get to retreat and control everything. And then this makes it, now I'm centered. I had to center here and now, wherever that may be. And so I can see that humanity is being thrown into the deep end of the pool now. That is where we're at, really and truly. And for me, I learned to do, just like she said, sort of push everything away. Even though I'm sitting in the room full of people, I'm even having a conversation with people. Because now I'm in a home where I didn't get to control who came and went and when that happened. But I still needed downtime that I wasn't getting. Like, I sort of came here with the idea, well, I require a lot of solitude and downtime, which I found myself getting none of. So I had to learn ways to do that in the crowded room. Mm-hmm. And it was really, really, really the most beautiful thing. And in the beginning, I wanted to be really upset about the churn of events and the state of affairs I found myself in. But it was exactly what I needed, because I learned how to meditate and have my silence and my clearing in the middle of a crowded room while having a couple conversations even. So it can be done. I know this. And I just want to share one way that I did that. Well, two. Okay, at first, how I did that was to just get really present, just be in the now moment, like not focus on the fact that right now I can't be alone and that's all I want. All I desperately want in the whole world is to be alone, and very, very alone. Not just a little bit alone, just really alone. And I couldn't. So what I did instead was to center myself in the moment of now in a way that could make me feel comfortable and go into like go into my heart, I guess is what you would say, but go into that space where I am alone, where it's just silence. Let's put it that way. And I did that through chores. And if you think back to me when I first got here, I think you'll recognize why I behaved the way that I did. I took the opportunity to have solitude in chores. So I honed an ability to immerse myself in a task as a way to center. And so that's what I did. I did a lot of tasking. So when I wash the dishes, I don't allow myself to think about anything but the dishes and exactly the task at hand. And so at first I played with ways to make this task the most efficient and enjoyable for me. And so so that is where I got my mindful task game, was because I didn't like these tasks and I needed to make them meaningful to me because they were sort of rather meaningless. And so I learned how to use, like, doing the dishes or vacuuming as a meditation, as a way of just being very, very present in this now moment. And so I just did a lot of that in the beginning, just a lot of bringing myself to the now moment and only coping with one task. And that helped me. And then I was able to expand that sort of now moment to even sitting on the sofa with everybody. Everybody's around. There's guests. There's our whole family. There's Sheila and her family. And I would use that moment of the room being full and lots of things being busy to sort of go very quietly into myself and just observe, just go into observer mode, stop thinking, and just watch. So I'd like observe this one and that they were engrossed in the show, and this one over here is not watching TV at all. She's conversating with this one over here. And I just allowed myself to be silent and observe. And so that was a tool that really, really helped me too, because it kept me in that quantum world of I am everything and I am nothing all at the same time. And it just helped me to, and the more that I practiced this, and at first it was just sort of short bursts. It was just like, I felt like I was going to jump out of my skin because what I was really craving was being alone. But what I did is learn how to be alone in a room full of people. And it was really an exciting practice to do that. And I know I tried to explain that to you, Sheila, on a number of times, but it was hard to even describe what I was doing. But now, after Beezy's pool analogy, that's really what I was doing. I was creating an alone space, a quiet space inside of me. And so I used mundane tasks. I used observation. Those were just some of the tools that I used to get myself in that place without needing to be in silence or in a certain room or at a certain time of day, because I had used those crutches in the past and they were gone now. And so those are just some of the ways that I used to get me into that field of silence and being alone in a room full of people. And I feel like I'm doing too much talking.
No, great. Two things I would say is, in that whole illustration is, one, absolutely no coincidence that all of that room and everything, back there was taken away from you. Yeah. You did it. You took it away from you.
Yeah. Yes.
And the second one is that you gave a great illustration of being for you in that moment on one part, just one part of being in the just before mission critical, right? The training, the brush up training.
Yes. Yes, I see that very clearly now. Because everything that happened to me since I've got here, I could see at different moments of the 2 weeks in Knoxville, how it prepared me for what I did there. And I'm not even sure that I even understand all of what I did there. But I felt very busy and very on task and very on mission. And I haven't felt that way in a while, and it was really, really exciting. And I craved more of that. But I can see how everything that has happened to me up until then has been training. And even what I'm going through each day today, I feel is training for something
Yes.
that's on its way. And it hasn't, like, it hasn't manifested as, I know it, I have this big mission and I know what it is, because I don't. But I do feel like it's getting very close, and I have an urgency to prepare.
Right.
And I do want to stay very on task, because I feel like things that I'm learning now will put me in the right place to make that easy and not rather traumatic, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, and Tennessee was training as well.
Yes. No, I feel that. Yes. Yes.
And Sheila's lifting weights over there in the other.
Well,
no, I'm serious. People are going, huh? But I'm watching her, and she's weightlifting like crazy with her brain and her.
yeah, I mean, there's, off camera, I had a pain in my temple, and I said, okay, so all right, and like something being plugged in, and yes, that, and so then when I went like this, I had another little. So yeah, okay, I'm sure that's probably part of it. So
either that, or you're going from the heart attack to the brain tumor now, right?
Yeah, well, when I was younger, it was bandied about as whether or not I was a hypochondriac.
Right.
It could be.
No, I'm just playing with you, because there's some people who, will make appropriate comments.
Well, of course. No, I'm not having a heart attack. That's gone. And I know what that is now. I've had that plenty enough times. And no, I don't have a brain tumor. Well, I mean, not that I'm aware. And if I am, I'm a creator being. I'll get rid of that in just a heartbeat. But back to the conversation at hand here. So, okay, so I've never really I have tried, practiced at meditation, even in a quiet room, even in all manner of goofy positions, lying down positions, standing up positions, walking, whatevs. And as one might guess, I can't get my head to shut up. So there's that for me. Now, about the only time I have noticed recently in the last, well, I guess year, really, since you've been here, Lisa, maybe a little before, and I just didn't notice it then. Sometimes I can stare blankly out the window.
Yes. Well, and oftentimes that's what it was for me too, but it was in an environment of my choosing, and I needed to be alone. There were certain requirements. So I'm not saying that I, sit in the lotus position and om, because I've never been able to perform that task either. I'm calling it meditation because it's about silencing my thinking and getting into that place where I know instead of think of a thing.
Yeah, it's the silencing of the thinking that I have usually.
Yeah, so Sheila, what I was going to say, you're holding that, what's feeling is you're holding that the same way as killing your ego.
Probably. And I, in this moment of now, just a moment ago, I'm certain that this is, I know that this issue is a programming issue, a conditioning issue.
Yeah, and it's a very pervasive one for many people. Like I've said on many of our conversations, if I needed to get to where I am now and along my path, by meditating, well, then I'm, I am a rip-roaring failure. But I do it in my own way. I just don't call it meditation anymore. I mean, other people will watch me or notice me doing things and go, oh, that's an interesting way to meditate. I don't hold it that way because it was so charged of all the linear, between the books and the courses and the experts and the this and the that, okay, it was plain as day. I sucked. I couldn't do it. I was a royal failure. And, there's, don't even bother trying because you just can't do it, so run along, and I thought, okay, well, gee, that's kind of like the rest of my life. So this is silly. Why am I buying into this?
Yep.
One of the things too is that in this I really can't hold it any other way than saying that in this it's a field of playing is the way that I hold it. And I can be doing all sorts of things. I can be working and do this, where I have a task and that kind of thing. And I go to do it several times a day because it puts me on center so that when I am doing my real job and mission and that kind of stuff, I can do what I need to do. And then the other parts of my physical body or parts of my brain, cognitive power, can do the job thing. And I haven't missed a beat, whether that's talking on the phone to somebody, who's in a hotel or whatever it is, right? Or knowing that X, Y, and Z has just come up and I've got to fit this in the linear job and actually also make it go on IV or a whole different host of different things. And never giving short shrift to anything. So that's just one little tiny example or glimpse of the different things to do. So a couple common things that are really common, that are really helpful as far as environments to play in, our nature is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And if you live in the middle of a city, there's going to be a tree or a bush or a little bit of grass. There's some birds. So you can find, the sky, all that. So you can find it. Don't say, oh, well, because then again, that's just another setup for, no, it doesn't have to be, out in Montana in the mountain range and
right.
Well,
nothing but elk around,
And I have a nice, well, I call it my fairywood. I do live in a city, but I do have a nice yard at least at the moment while I'm still in this house. And I have gone out and, take my mandala coloring stuff and sit myself up in the yard and color. And I enjoy that. However, that just gives me a really cool place to think while I'm coloring, to be honest. So I still, maybe what I take issue with is the whole clearing of the mind.
I didn't say clearing of the mind.
Oh, okay.
No, I did.
Oh, well, no. The very first word in this is clearing.
Yeah, but where's the mind in there?
Well, no, it's not. But it's cleansing, rejuvenating, giving yourself space to clear your field of consciousness.
Oh, well, that's very different. If you're trying to clear the mind, you're setting up the same battle as killing the friggin' ego. Let the mind do what the mind's doing, and you're clearing your consciousness. So you're clear. You're actually noticing the different energy fields, the different frequencies, the different vibration. If a thought comes through, and it's how am I going to pay that bill? Okay, then you're just noticing and clearing the different layers. Okay, that's this, not attachment to it. Just simply noticing.
Let me tell you what I just got a minute, right? But just before you actually even really went into that, I got a visual of, I don't know if it was me or if it's just whatever, the consciousness patting the mind
That's what the task does for me.
Aren't you?
Yeah.
Kind
right. Well, sort of just occupy
So-
the mind. Don't fight it.
Okay. So just notice what it's doing and not get all bent out of shape that it's not, that it's running around in the
It doesn't have to conform or
well,
do
as
anything.
soon as you say shut up, be quiet, then you're standing there with your hands on your hips. Okay, well, you know, if you're going to be a bully to each other, you know, you're all working together. So, or, you know, you said yourself the other day about killing the ego. Well, you know, I never mentioned that. It's a partnership. So I'm not, just like anything else, you're not judging me. I'm not judging what's going on. I'm very clear in that moment what I'm doing. And depending on what the flow is and where in, you know, linear time frame, years past I was starting to do it, I may have more or less, you know, quote unquote success in that. But
I'm still sitting in judgment myself. That's what I just got to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
yeah, don't worry about making anybody wrong.
The way around that, I'm sitting in judgment that I can't get my mind to be quiet. I'm thinking that I've got, you know, there's a whole crap ton of judgment that I've just witnessed myself doing to myself.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay.
So what you're doing is you're using this conversation as one of these clearing times. This is the swimming pool. And you have, to a large extent, actually done this with all of the other swimmers and all the other noise in the pool. And, you know, the videotape is rolling and these things are coming up and you're playing with them a little bit, engaging with them a little bit, but not too much, because if you were doing that whole hog, you'd be wrestling with them, something, you know, slapping in the pool, having, you know, water fight, all that kind of stuff. And instead, you're actually noticing that it's happening. That's why I say noticing is one of the most amazing tools that you can use, because it's not telling anybody to shut up or get killed or quiet or leave the room, or there's no attachment one way or the other. There's no judgment one way or the other. That isn't what noticing is.
No, that's right. I get that, but I'm just noticing that I am still sitting over here in judgment of myself, of like I said, a crap ton of different things.
Yeah, so that would be one of these things that we're talking about in this, you know, paragraph, is that's something that you can then let fall away. Let fall away. Not get a gun out, not, you know, use a shovel and bury it. you just let it fall away.
Right.
And the letting it fall away is actually a natural expansion, not a contraction. It's a natural expansion of the clearing of the different components and the different layers and the different frequencies of your consciousness. Because it and those things have, on one level, one perspective, because they're three-dimensional, have just as much right to be there and be in existence as anything else, because there's part of the experience, the totality of you and all. Right? Remember ways ago, you know, source wanting to know source.
Right.
Did source say, except for those judgment thingies and the this and the that and the, no. Right?
Right.
So as soon as you soften, that's the kind of the thing that I was trying to describe about the swimming pool. As soon as you soften all that, it's still going on. You can still feel it pulsing, right? Mm-hmm. But it's not in your particular lane. So notice them. That's fine. And then let them flow away. Something else may come up, you know, maybe another judgment, whatever. And again, too, this goes back to the conversation we had the other day about you know, the was mindset and the victims, but it was the ego was a main part of that, is there's a partnership there. So then play more with the partnership. You know, when you have those judgments, okay, well, great. So the judgment can be, well, I appreciate that you're looking at that. And you know, one perspective might be able to describe that as discernment, or to sort and sift through different things. And that's great. So if you want to be, you know, working together in a team in this, I would really appreciate those particular skills that are more linear in nature to help that. Well, think about any being that you may have this kind of, now you've changed the whole feeling and energetics of the conversation. Instead of, you know, would you shut up? But you say, well, you know, I've noticed you've got some things that would be really valuable we could partner on for this. That changes the dynamic. It changes the energy, frequency, vibration.
From competition to cooperation.
Yeah,
I like that.
I like that a lot. Yeah, that's
it's intriguing to the other, because those are thought forms. Those are actually, you know, little energetic envelopes. They're realities, actually. And so it's intriguing over there because there's respect given, there's love given, there's expansion and a joining in, you know, an invitation to come play.
Yeah, that's a whole different way.
And the honoring of all parts of you. Yeah. Yep. I love that. Beautiful.
And so again, you gave another example. You can do this anywhere in the middle of a video.
It's amazing.
Yes.
But this is what it's all about, you know, up on the mountaintop, oming. Okay, cool. But we're in a little faster swim of energy and flow right this moment.
Right.
And again, go back to what I said before. It's vital for each of us to recognize our abilities to do this.
Mm-hmm.
So this just popped in, so I'll give you one example that, you know, many who may watch this video have been. So you and I'm about to publish some things, so you'll have them right at your fingertips, all in one post about Tennessee. But you know, the dance that Heather has been doing in the purported courtroom with the alleged judge, whichever one they were, and her ability to flow with that, and not in an argument, because, you know, you could probably count in the transcripts how many times she said this is not an argument, it's a conversation. Now that has specificity and particularity and meaning from a legal, you know, linguistics frame, but also it's an energetic frame.
Yes.
So it's doing what I was saying, you know, with the judgments and.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And that's what we're doing now. We're moving from competition to cooperation. And that begins inside of you, even. No?
Yeah, well, we're moving back into the truth of who we are.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Which isn't confrontation, and it isn't.
No.
Well, that's been very helpful for me. Just the noticing of the judgment that I've held and allowing that to fall away, because it's just more of that programming and conditioning, actually.
Yes.
I can recognize that that's been a lot of what this for me, this specific one, this specific topic. There was a lot there that I actually feel like I'm just uncovering at the moment.
You'll see a lot of it unravel tonight. We started this by the, something that I said triggered recalls of dreams for both of you. Right. You're going to see a lot of this unravel tonight.
Okay. I believe you.
Whether you remember the dreams or not doesn't matter, but my guess is when you wake up in the morning, you'll be a combination of not overly tired, but like on the one hand, you got some rest, but on the other hand, you were doing a lot of stuff. And you may find too that you're sore when you wake up. And a lot of that has to do with when you've been doing a lot of clearing, especially things. This is actually a lot of big stuff right now is going on in this video. And the soreness comes from the actual shifting in the molecular structure and the letting things fall away from each individual cellular structure and components of that, then to relax, go lax, and then the shape and form changes a little bit as new stuff flows in.
Well, I have noticed, I've been noticing, of course, those couple of tinges in my skull, in my head. But there was at least twice during some of what you were speaking that I noticed a very deep sigh almost on my part. So for me, that's an indication that my body was releasing something.
Wow.
So I mean, I noticed that and I felt it.
You can see it's visible on the video as well.
Well,
wow. This is so awesome.
I know. I feel so actually privileged, and I don't know why I'm wanting to cry, but I feel very
I feel the same way. I have so much gratitude to you, BZ. I don't even know.
To you too, Lisa, because
I know because you tell me that all the time. I want BZ to know how.
Okay,
how much
that was an example of a brush off.
Well, no, I know, but she trust me, she tells me every moment of every day, and I feel that.
Well, the heart wasn't brushing off; the ego was brushing off.
Oh, okay. Well, that's probably true. But I want BZ to know how important she has been to me and how grateful I am for your continued support and generosity with your time and your energy and your love. And it's deeply felt and appreciated. So
ditto for me too, because this is well, I don't know what in the hell that either one of us is being prepared for, that we're preparing ourselves for,
right?
I should say, because that's something that we were talking about. You'd mentioned earlier that that everything that you'd gone through led up to, and including now
yeah, now it's fast and furious too. Like it hasn't let up, it's sped up.
As I have done a fair amount of that looking back as well, not the reaching back in for the stories, no. For me, it's been more of a recognition or a finally being able to see with a different set of eyes, maybe.
You're reviewing the daily rushes.
I guess so. But seeing how every single, I don't know, the thing that I've ever gone through in my life, you know, the little stories, the little things that, you know, because we talked about the victim ego mind video was very, very right here. And just thinking about all that and being able to see how every single bit of that in my life, everything of it has led to, yes, of course, to now because I'm still alive, but I mean for what I'm doing, what this whole thing with Conscious Conversation Central, with you, with Lisa, has been about. And that's for me, that's a huge thing, to actually see that, you know, and I'm grateful for every one of those things. And a lot of those things were really hard, but I can see very clearly that they were important and they had to take place in just the manner that they did.
Yep.
And I don't know what's next, but like Lisa, I feel like something big is about to, I don't know, and I don't even have a clue as to what it is or what my role is in it or whatever, but it's very clear that whatever it is, that this is part of that training for it as well. And I too want to thank you.
Two things that come up from what you both have been saying is, one, that you are letting people either validate their own chutzpah or borrow some of each of your chutzpah for going through this. And you know exactly what I'm talking about because it's all over your emotional field there. That's one of the things. The other is maybe one thing to play with, and this is a very, very large thing, so there's so much in it to play with or think about playing with or even play with playing with. You said it yourself, both of you have said it. Think about all of the beings out there and all of the realization that is already swimming in the consciousness. It's in the ethers. It's in the mass consciousness now. Has been since actually 2012, although it's coming more to the surface and popping out right now. But so Sheila, one of the phrases that you use is people, you know, been lied to. How do you bring that to light, that people have been lied to for eons? It's not just the last, you know, some people say, oh, well, you know, the banking and this 20, 30, 40 years. I'm thinking, okay, you forgot a lot of commas and zeros. When you're talking about that.
I actually said that, that was just today. I actually said to someone that visited me here in my home today that I did say eons. Well, I have said hundreds, but I changed it today to thousands and much, much more than that, actually.
Before known history.
Yeah.
This is a simple way to encapsulate it. And it's not just on this planet. But anyways, what I was saying is, so if you play with that just for a moment, and then you think about all the training and stuff that you're going through, that you're noticing, those are some of the just little tiny slivers of some, right? You're right. You got it. Of some of the.
I feel like I'm sitting on the edge of forever again.
Right. So that's why when I say words like, because generally, okay, my brain isn't working anymore. Generally, there we go. The words I choose are soft, but when I say things like vital it's important that it really is vital for, or there is a, imparting of a sense of urgency there is for what's going on, because your hand, your energetic hand, your physical human hand, your being, your presence, all of you in different aspects and different demonstrability in those things, is being called for right this moment. So each of you here, and then all the yous listening, and again, this is how this works. This is how we're not on a linear planet anymore. We're not in a linear existence. It's all quantum and multidimensional. Whether you understand it or not, or know it or not, doesn't matter. So as this goes out, this actually goes out. It is now out there. And the very act of giving voice to it, the very act of having it be video, the very act of all of this is what generates it into and infuses it into the system and in a whole nother layer and level energetically.
Right.
It's funny, I remember a couple months ago, a common thing that I will say is, talking to myself, well, how can I be of service today? What can I do? Go buy a laptop with a video camera. What? Go get it. Why? Go get it. I don't have, fill in the blank. Go get it. Okay. Normally I don't ask a lot of questions. I just go do it because I've been doing it for years, and it's like, okay, this doesn't get me anywhere, but and as I'm driving to go get it, I thought, I thought, oh, okay, well, there's this, and I can think about this, and then there's this problem or this, and it's like, yeah, okay, fine, walk in and say, hi, I'm here to get a laptop. Now, what I need this laptop for, and I had no idea what I needed the laptop for, but all of a sudden, this information came out, and I'm going, you don't say. So it isn't just a video, but there was other things that, part of mission coming up, and okay. So, and this is actually another thing that's, on the list of topics that I wanted to talk about. We won't go into it much, but just to touch on it here, since it's part of this, is part of that commitment, is part of that. We had one of the round tables that I did a while ago about that, about are you investing in you and investing in waking up and being conscious and becoming aware and all of that. And so, again, that's another thing right this moment that is more and more and more vital and evident for people. And it will show up in different ways. But this is one of the ways that you can invest in you right this moment, is in clearing that space and, and partnering with the judgment or whatever it is that comes up. If I don't have the quiet room or the right yoga pants, or there is no forest where I live, or, well, so you can have a forest of buildings, so yeah. It's all energy. Newsflash here. It's all energy. And how you co-create with and partner with that energy can be enacted in a way that has that flow and that coherence that you create, that could be replicating the same as, right at where I am, these amazing trees or whatever it is. Because what's the same thing in all of that? You. And the true totality of who you are. And that's what all this clearing the consciousness of the other things is all about, and not the mind.
Well, I'm not often,
speechless.
Yeah, speechless. Yeah, there are those out there that are going, wait a minute, who did what to Sheila? Well, Sheila did a few things to Sheila. That's for what that is. With a little help from my friends. My posse, for the lack of a better term. Thank you, ladies. Easy. Wow. Just
thank you, Keegan.
So much love.
He's dreaming big time.
Yeah.
Hi, Wee. Dream. He's clearing stuff.
Cool. Well, I don't even know what to say, so I'm just going to end it. I think. Is there anything else either one of you would like to say?
No,
yeah, you're watching Sheila loving all of Sheila right this moment. You're watching Sheila make connection and coherence with what would have been a judgment or this or that for all of her life.
And it's beautiful.
So she'll put links in the show more section.
Yeah. We got blogs. We got other stuff coming up. Email Sheila later.
You guys are the best, man.
We'll be back. She'll talk more. Trust me.
You gotta click the button.
I know. I gotta find the button.